Hey everyone, welcome to episode 154 of the All Dolphins podcast. Our second episode of the day for this Thursday, December 7th, 2023. Here goes, there's my French Canadian coming back here. December 7th, 2023. We did an episode, 2023. An episode earlier today discussing the Austin Jackson contract extension, which is now official. We saw him with a big ass smile on his face in the Dolphins conference room in the wee hours of the morning. The sun had just come up, and as I tweeted, "You're gonna give me that kind of money? You can wake me up. I'll go there at 4 o'clock in the morning if you want me to." As always, the obligatory player recognition. Very, very limited choices when it comes to 54. We did Zach Thomas with a mention of Wahoo McDaniel the first time around, leaving me with practically nobody. Shout out to Ralph Ortega, linebacker.
Buck Ortega's dad.
You what?
Buck Ortega's dad. I covered his son, Buck Ortega, quarterback tight end at the University of Miami. I think he had a cup of coffee in the NFL and might have been part of a Dolphins training camp.
See, there you go. Omar chipping in with the historical.
Yeah.
I like it.
Buck, who was high school teammates with Sean Taylor, and they won the state championship at Gulliver Prep. Yeah, but Buck, love Buck. I'm sure he's running some business right now in the world.
Ralph, from what I saw, apparently has a car dealership in Miami. The neat thing about Ralph Ortega, who joined the Dolphins after some years with the Atlanta Falcons, is he was born in Havana, Cuba.
Yes, and Buck is very big Cuban. But yes, continue.
There you go. And then Cubans getting to play for the Miami Dolphins. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our number 54. So
all right,
let's travel back to the present.
Let's get to the meat of things, which starts with the injury report, which should give me a surprise. Devon Achane has a rib injury and participated fully on the injury list. But the fact that he's got a rib injury, that's not a good thing. But hopefully it's not something that's going to impact his performance. Raheem Mostert had his typical Wednesday off. I believe they called it a veteran rest day for him. Kendall Lamb got a veteran rest day, spoke to Kendall, and he basically was like, yeah, I'm ready to practice. I want to practice. And the coaching staff basically said, no, you're going to sit. And he's like, hey, fine. They blamed it on the fact that he's a 9-year veteran. And he said, you don't want me to practice? I won't practice, but I'm ready to go.
You're old. Sit down, watch the young whippersnappers get in there.
And so it's probably going to be a situation where he practices tomorrow. As I wrote on alldolphins.com, which you can find right here, I wrote a column that I've given a lot of thought and a lot of film study to. I know what Teron Armstead looks like when he's healthy. I know what he looks like when he's not healthy. I personally believe that the Dolphins should sit him for the next 2 games, and I have given my reasoning why. Now that I've done a little bit more research into Teron Armstead's financial situation, if Teron Armstead sat the next 2 games in regards to being inactive, Teron Armstead would lose $110,000. I'm not sure you're going to make me sit the next 2 games. Now, could I potentially dress and not play? I might consider that. But you're not going to rest me and cost me $110,000. $110,000 is more than some families make in a given year. And I know he makes, what does he make?
A lot.
He makes a lot. $110,000 is still $110,000. So,
sure, if you don't want it, I'll take it.
I will definitely take it. However, I do stand by my thought process and if you read the column, which you can find on alldolphins.com for free, no subscription, no paywall. Poupard writes 13 stories a day. I do what I can. And it's in the best if you follow through with what Mike McDaniel has done for every player and every veteran, and I understand he trusts Teron Armstead more than he trusts anybody else. If you follow through with what he's done for every player and what he's doing for Javon Holland right now, who is not practicing and might not play on Sunday, I think it's wise to sit Teron Armstead and try to get him as healthy as you can for that critical 3-game stretch that ends the season and the playoffs.
And if I may, and I agree with you that all things being equal, the player is going to be like, I want to get my per game bonus and all that. However, the flip side to that is Teron's also been in the game long enough where the Dolphins are in the midst of a run with some massive possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's smart enough to be like, yeah, I want my 110 grand, but I'm also not going to put myself in jeopardy of getting something worse and then missing out on more important games down the stretch and possibly the playoffs.
True, but you're still going to give me my 110 grand.
Oh no, yeah, that's fine.
So,
and this is where, by the way, for because my initial thought was like, well, Dolphins can just say no, but then again, do you want that kind of friction with one of your leaders, elite players, elder statesmen? And
I'm not saying it's about the money. Even Mike McDaniel has hinted Teron Armstead is very frustrated by these fluke injuries and very frustrated by his reputation and very frustrated at the fact that fans are calling him Mr. Glass. So he's definitely going to want to be on that wall and prove that he can play. But then you also have Kendall Lamb, who is now saying, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Let me
They'll
play.
have enough options. Let's move on from Teron Armstead because we did spend a lot of time on him.
I did want to address one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
And I want to put it here because I don't know, you might want me to write it, but there's a faction of Dolphin fans, which are growing momentum and ground, who have this theory that we could cut Teron Armstead and everything will be fine. We need to move on from Teron Armstead. And I continue to say and continue to reiterate that no, you can't. And I've gone through the fine prints of his contract. $5 million of his salary next season is fully guaranteed. And the remaining $8.25 million is guaranteed for injury. And it becomes fully guaranteed on the third day of the year. If you do cut him, you're going to lose cap space. So what the best solution, if you want to do anything at all, is to go to Teron and potentially ask him to restructure his contract. None of his money is guaranteed after the 2025 season. So depending on where he sits in this position, he might be willing to do that, which would help you create cap space, maybe lower his salary in the coming seasons. All depends on how you feel about him and how he feels about the organization and where he wants to go. But for those who are out there thinking, portraying, talking about hypothetical, what's the word I'm looking for, Poop? I know you can, hypothesizing about cutting him.
I need to stop you right now, and I don't mean to cut you off, but in looking back, I think I may have looked at the wrong place, because unless I'm mistaken, then I'll go back and check again that the Dolphins actually would not lose cap space, but they will gain cap space if they cut him post June 1, but they will eat a lot of money when they've eaten money before, and they may be in a position where they'll be like, Stephen Ross will be like, if he gets me a Super Bowl title, fine. I'll see what I have to spend. Let's move on to other players, because again, I love Teron as much as the next guy, but I don't want this to become the All Teron podcast. Jerome Baker with a knee, as we would have expected, also with a DNP. Xavien Howard, as we mentioned, Robert Hunt with a hamstring, and then Durham Smythe with his lingering ankle issue.
I don't think Hunt's playing.
I agree with you. I want to make a quick point about Devon Achane. This is where, and this may not be a very popular opinion, but not the first time and not going to be the last time. This is where Dolphins have to be careful with how much they use him. He's not a back that's built for the long haul. If you're going to give him 15, 20 touches every game, look at his build. He's not a big dude. What he is he's stupid fast. I mean, we're talking.
You're holding his size against him.
I'm absolutely holding his size against him in terms of getting a lot of carries. He got 17 carries. Okay. 17 carries against Washington.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying that you're wrong. However, Darren Sproles Warwick Dunn. Maybe exceptions to the rule.
Absolutely exceptions.
But same size backs, completely durable players.
Again.
And he was never hurt in college.
Okay, but and I wouldn't throw Darren Sproles in that equation because Darren Sproles was a specialty player who didn't get 17 carries in a game. I don't think maybe ever. No, we're going to look at. You're going to make me look bad, aren't you? Because he may have done it. But as a general rule,
Darren Sproles is one of my favorite backs in the NFL. And
absolutely, and he was 5'6", and he was also, I think he was also a little bit like, I don't know, thicker or whatever. And I remember Darren Sproles very well. Obviously, he was.
Yeah. Oh, he's without a doubt. You make a very strong point and argument. He was so much more thicker than the rest of the other backs.
And Warwick Dunn was a kind of an anomaly. It doesn't happen. But here's the thing. Playing devil's advocate here and Mickey second guessing, did Devon Achane really need 17 carries and for Jeff Wilson to have 4?
You're absolutely correct in what you just said. He got 4 carries a game throughout his throughout his career. That's what he averaged. Yeah. Now he also caught a ton of passes. So
he did, and he returned punts.
Yes, ton of passes and return punts. But you do make a very strong case for the fact that he never had a massive workload.
Correct.
A mid for Poupard.
And it actually didn't even dawn on me until we saw Achane on the injury report today. Again, there's especially, and the thing is, I get it. You want to get him back in the groove, but the game against Washington in the fourth quarter was 38-15 or whatever it was. Again, did not need to have a heavy dose of Devon Achane, but that's just me.
I am not going to say that you're wrong because you generally, following a Bill Parcells mantra, if you draft a player with size deficiencies, next thing you know, you'll have a roster full of players with size deficiencies. Teams generally stray away from players with size deficiencies unless they have exceptional skills like Devon's exceptional speed. But they don't do it because small players and old players have durability injuries. The durability injuries.
And the thing, if you look at the play-by-play, he got I think it was 7 carries in a row on that last drive the Dolphins had.
You think the 7 carries in a row is what got him? I don't know about that.
I didn't say that. I just don't see that there's a need to do that in a 38-15 game.
Oh, wait. Okay, so you're saying they should have put Jeff Wilson in there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna. But what's supposed you want to get the young rookie greased up, and you want to see what he can do. You want to see what plays suit him and fit him. It was a drive. It was an important drive, and a drive that boosted confidence. Because that drive, I'm gonna say this, and you're probably gonna think I'm crazy.
Oh, I already that ship's already sailed, my man. But we'll just have.
I'm going to whisper it to you, okay? I think that drive might have been the most important drive of the season.
Okay.
And here's
certifiable, but okay.
Here's my reasoning why.
Oh, I know exactly what your reasoning is going to be, but go ahead.
No, tell me what my reasoning is going to be, since you know.
Because they ate the clock on the ground without throwing the ball at the end of the game when Washington probably knew they were going to do that, and they still were able to matriculate down the field.
They took a team's will and did it for the second straight game.
And this is what I'm going to say. The score at that time was 38-15.
They still took a team's will. Everybody on that field, their coach is going to be fired. They're going to be under film review by a new regime. Everybody's future's at stake. And you know what? We're going to run it down your throat, and you can't stop it. And they've done it 2 straight weeks now.
Yeah, and do you know? And do you know?
Backups.
Correct. And the Commanders, what do you think the Commanders' state of mind at that point is? We have a coach who's dead man walk in. We're down 23. We ain't winning. And you expect me to try to fight off your block as you keep running? Dude, just go down the field. Go knock yourself out. I mean,
but the fact that I can do it while you know I'm doing it and you can't stop it or don't want to stop it for the second straight week, maybe the third, that's a confidence booster for me. That's on the thing that I need to work on and perfect and get better at. And yeah, I'm averaging 5.3 yards per carry for the season, and I'm ranked 7th in NFL history in yards per carry. And yes, we're the #1 rushing yards per carry team and the #2 rushing yards produced team. But you know what? Everybody says we're a finesse team. We're a pretty team.
Not everybody, just a dude with the blue hat.
And we can't take somebody's will, and we're proving that.
See, the thing is, you didn't take anybody's will when they had no will left, and because if we're going to point to the last 2 weeks as examples, they had that Jets game won in the fourth quarter when they did it, or actually it was in the third quarter.
That's still important to do it, though.
No, it's important to do it when you're up by a score, and then you kill the and it did happen earlier this year. I want to say might have been the New England game that they did it.
It's happened a lot this season. They've run the 4-minute offense and the 8-minute offense a lot this season, and it's part of who McDaniel is in his DNA. And to see it be exerted now, even though some people will call them a finesse team, they got some physicality to them. And the fact that you can do that, and to the point where we think Payne and Allen weren't even trying to play the game, like they were like, I don't want none of that. You want
we're down by 23, and the coach. I'm sorry, I refuse to get overly excited. And in a big overall picture, I think I've been more consistent than you in saying the possibilities for this team are really, really intriguing. And I think this team is going places. And if you tell me right now they're going to the Super Bowl, I wouldn't tell you you're crazy in the least. But I think we're over. To me, it would be overblowing it to be able to run the ball in the second half of games against teams who are already. I mean, you want to talk about that? If the Jets by halftime, I mean, that the Hail Mary, as they called it, or the Fail Mary, whichever, whatever spirit they had
was beat out of them.
Yeah, correct. And then so the second half is basically, I mean, you want to talk about going through the motions, and then Washington again, dead man walking coach, you're up by 23, running down their throat at that time, even if they know it's coming. To me is, I'm sorry, I'm impressed by a lot of things the Dolphins have done this year. That ain't one of them.
Okay.
No.
Let's move forward to what everybody wants to talk about, which is the subtle shade that Tua Tagovailoa threw.
Subtle?
Had
you gone like this, it might have been more subtle.
No, because you know why I say subtle? Because he's never said his name ever. Anytime he's addressing the abuse that he endured, or the abuse that his teammates endured, or how he treated people, I don't think Tua has ever said Brian Flores' name.
I think I heard him. I want to say once or twice. And we're talking since January. I did hear him. Yeah, I did hear him one time, and it was like, whoa, did he just say what I think he said? Yeah. And I don't remember if he said Flo or I think he might have called him Flo. I think it was once or twice, and no, I don't recall the exact circumstances. But proceed. Yeah, no, but you're right. I'm being a wise guy. It was a very nice, subtle dig. Go ahead.
He said it addressing, because he basically he called all the media members out, chastised us, just like Mike McDaniel did for our criticism of Austin Jackson when he was struggling, which I think is valid, except for last season. I think Austin took too many hits last season, even though he wasn't really on the field. But he basically said the things that were said about him in team meetings, that made him question his ability and his work ethic and how good he could be as a player, and made him doubt himself. Those are things that were hard to overcome, but he did that. And he credited Mike McDaniel for helping him do that. And this is the same thing that Tua said about himself.
Yep.
Who now Tua's 2 years, one of the top quarterbacks in the league, 2 years, an MVP candidate. Now he's leading the #1 team in the AFC East. And the way that Tua alleges, or maybe his circle alleges, that he was treated was as if he had no talent and no commitment to the game and was abused. And abused at the hands of Brian Flores and possibly his coaching staff. I don't want to. You don't think we're associated?
I'm trying to think whose personality, from what we observed, might have led to that. Like Flores, I mean, ding, ding. Trying to think. Because Eric Studesville wouldn't be here if he had a.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can lump everybody in, but I know there were coaches on the coaching staff that were not Tua fans, and maybe they were following the lead of their head coach. There's reasons why Flores and the camp were Deshaun Watson fans, and thank God that didn't follow through. But now, everybody isn't Mr. Popular. Everybody doesn't need to be Mr. Popular. And I say this with the understanding, I didn't like Brian Flores either. I thought he was abusive. Yeah. I mean, we're not friends. We don't like each other. But I say this with the understanding that I still think he's a good coach. I still think with maturity and maybe some learning from Mike Tomlin and about how to be a different type of coach and not Bill Belichick abuse, he can resurrect his career and become a head coach again. My biggest concern about Flo is the abusive personality, and can he put together an offensive staff? And part of the reason he couldn't put together an offensive staff was because the reputation was out there about how abusive he was.
Let me jump in and tell you something. And I don't know if you've read our good friend Dave Hyde's book. This is something I knew already, and it was only reinforced in reading the book. One of the greatest gifts Jimmy Johnson had as a coach is the ability to deal with players. And his MO was always, people aren't the same. You can't treat everybody exactly the same. You got to have, different handle for different players. Some guys need to be kicked in the butt. Some guys need a gentler touch. And the famous example, and even the consequences for players, even the fabulous example of one of his running backs fell asleep in a team meeting, cut him the next day or even on the spot. And then somebody asked him, or it happened that Emmitt Smith fell asleep in the team meeting. What would you do then, Jimmy? I'd walk up to him and say, "Hey, Emmitt, buddy, wake up. We're in the middle of a team meeting." Again, different players. Yeah. Different rules. You can't let guys get away with things, but you can't treat everybody the same. And I think I don't know how I can, based on our observations, McDaniel is extraordinarily positive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess that's his MO with everybody. Mm-hmm. And he's all about, positive reinforcement. And until proven otherwise, there's nobody who's going to be able to complain or criticize the way he's approaching things, because obviously the results are there.
Correct. But I just found that, and we made him clarify, and he was like, yeah, I'm talking about past years, past regimes. Mm-hmm. And that's where Mike McDaniel's, the difference shows. Mike builds you up instead of tearing you down. And man, and it's funny that it's mentioned now, because I wanted to ask Tua about the parallel about that, because the last time Tua played Tennessee, that was the end for Flores. Yeah. They had more games after that, but that was done.
You know what? Yeah, it didn't even come up in his press conference, did it?
No, I did.
With anybody. No questions about. I think there was a generic question about facing Tennessee, but not about his last outing against Tennessee.
I mean,
by the way, I just wrote. I'm sorry, Omar. I just wrote on alldolphins.com about the last time Tennessee played in Miami. And if you guys don't remember, it was a 2018 season opener. And that game, for all we know, might still be going on.
Oh, God, that game lasted forever.
That game. Okay. That's the last time Tennessee played here. By the way, great nugget in that game. Tennessee starting safety who had an interception in that game is Kenny Vaccaro.
Who happens to be Tyreek Hill's
brother-in-law.
Tyreek Hill's wife's brother. Yes.
Tyreek Hill's brother-in-law. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, anyway, go ahead. You were saying about Tua and the Tennessee game.
Yeah, no, that was the beginning and the end with him and Flores. Apparently, that was brought up to me by a player in the locker room this week. Not this week, but this year. And he was like, yeah, that was when we knew they were done. They stopped talking to each other. They like, Tua basically said, F you. And everybody was like, oh, you made Tua curse. And
this is the one. There was a report, and then it was retracted. But the original report was that apparently supposedly Flores told Tua he should have drafted Mac Jones.
who put that report out? Because I don't remember that. Oh, yeah. Oh,
It was Michael Lombardi,
oh.
who not long after retracted it.
But that didn't come out until Flores had been fired, right?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not, when people are fired, I'm not going to bring up, like, I can't bring up old stories unless I hear it from the people involved. But yeah, it's woo. That I did hear about the Tua and Flo cursing session inside the locker room after that game. I don't think I wrote it or remember what I did with it, but it was, I didn't know it was the beginning of the, I didn't know it was the end. I didn't know it was the beginning of the end. And Steve Ross would begin digging into Flo from that point, as if he didn't already have his mind made up.
Correct.
But the team kept winning.
No. The team won the next week, but they'd already been eliminated from the playoffs.
That game would have kept them in the playoff hunt. That game would have.
They controlled their fate at that time after the 1-7 start.
Mm-hmm.
That knocked them out. In the following week, they beat New England to wrap up the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was very interesting. I think Tua continues to put out these subtle jabs, reminding the world that, hey, I got a real coach now. I'm thankful for that. And that other guy was not a very good coach. And as we see with all of the Belichick tree, they're all pretty toxic in terms of how they interact and deal with people, and probably need some lessons from other coaches. And I think Flores has gotten that over the years, especially working for Mike Tomlin for a season. But and I wish him the best of luck. I certainly wish him and give him the support on his lawsuit, because I think it's got a lot of validity to it. It is a class action lawsuit that is not just about him. It's about a lot of African-American coaches in the NFL who have all actually joined the class action lawsuit. We'll follow up on that during the off season, see where it is. But everybody, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be here. And I think everybody is thankful for the fact that we are here, because I have no doubt in my mind that we wouldn't be here if Flores was still the coach 2 years later.
Well, he wouldn't have lasted 2 more years without some kind of change. Moving on to another topic, Xavien Howard was brought up about his season. You and I have said he's played really well all along.
Yeah. Dolphin fan.
Very well. And McDaniel brought up the play he made against Washington when they called a zero blitz with David Long, who nailed Sam Howell right as he was throwing the ball. And then Terry McLaurin got a little bit behind him, and X broke up the play in the end zone. It was a great PBU, and the dude's playing well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough held play, and even McDaniel said it's one of those highlight plays that, not just like Tyreek's catch, not everybody can make. We've said he's having an amazing season. I've been meaning to look up what his opposing passers rate when throwing the ball at.
It's in the 70s, because I looked it up last week, and I can't imagine it would have changed that much. It was like 76 or 77 or something like that.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the play against it wasn't one of those plays where he got away with DPI, because sometimes that happens, and you'll get the credit, but it
was just clean. It was just clean.
That was a really, really good play.
Yeah.
Xavien Howard's is at this season 78.8.
I wonder where that stacks up throughout his career.
Well, here's the thing. Sorry, Omar. Here's the thing and sorry, McDaniel, he was wrong there, because he said he's taking his game to another level and all that. Maybe comparison to last year in 2020. Remember, he had the 10 picks, so his opponent passer rating that year was 48.3.
Yeah, this season is good, but Xavien is a great player. Xavien is probably the best cornerback that I've seen here in the Dolphins uniform, and I know Jalen Ramsey's having a superior season
Jason
statistically.
Ramsey.
Yeah, but I've seen Xavier's track record. I've seen his body of work, and I know what he's capable of. And it's not like people are throwing at him, and it's not like people are throwing at Ramsey either.
I was gonna say, not throwing at the other guy either.
Yeah, Cater's the one who's under fire all the time, and I think he's playing admirably well as well.
Yeah. To me, if you were to do a ranking, like of the top Dolphin, again, if depending on the criteria, whether it's full body of work, is whether best player at his peak, because then you could get into the conversation with Brent Grimes, Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain. I wouldn't dismiss either Jalen Ramsey, Xavien Howard. Body of work with the Dolphins. Tough call there. See, Brent's only 3 years stay with the Dolphins probably would eliminate him if you have to combine longevity a little bit.
Yeah, but I think they were all 3 Pro Bowl seasons.
Oh, they were. Oh no, he was stupid good. He was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
But those other 2, Sam and Pat, yeah, they were really good too. Anything else stand out for today? I guess we never discussed this yesterday or this morning. Dolphins, a whopping 9 players leading their position in the Pro Bowl voting. So Dolphin fans out there doing their thing.
Hey, props to them. Thank you, Tuanon.
Correct. But understand that doesn't mean it's 1/3 of the voting.
Yes.
So for the record, for those who might not be aware, it's Tua, Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Alec Ingold, Teron Armstead, Jalen Ramsey, Duke Riley, Blake Ferguson, and Braxton Berrios. There's your 9.
Tuanon, we thank you. You, because we know it's you.
He's got the most vote of any player in the league, as he did last year.
Yes, you know what it is. You know what time it is. That fan base they got muscle.
Except in terms of overall votes, the Dolphins are second in the NFL.
Behind who?
San Francisco 49ers. So Dolphin fans, you have to up your game to catch on.
They're in another division. As long as you're number 1 in AFC votes,
you're number 1 in the AFC. Correct.
You should be good. They're gonna have, when you're winning, you have success. Coaches are gonna vote for you. Players gonna vote for whoever their agents tell them to vote for. So it's they're winning, so they'll have Pro Bowlers. They'll have Pro Bowl talents out there.
Oh, they'll get, yeah. Especially if they wind up with like 13 wins, they'll get 6 or 7.
More than likely, they won't be playing in the game. So hopefully that's the case.
Oh, that's a Super Bowl prediction right there, because those are the guys who don't.
I'm not ready to say that yet, because when I see that run game exert their muscle, then I'm ready to say I'm like Louis Riddick, where, man, what I love about Louis Riddick. And for those who haven't seen, he had a big showdown on Stephen A. Smith's show, where him and Stephen A. Smith went at it, and he basically said the Dolphins are a Super Bowl contending team, and here's the reason why. And he talked up Austin Jackson before Austin Jackson got the contract, and said he's playing phenomenally. We've been saying he's playing phenomenally, and he said basically, if the Dolphins show me that they can run the ball and be consistent with the run game and get that offensive line stabilized, they're going to be a Super Bowl team. Who's been saying that for like a good month and a half?
But okay. Smart ass alert here. If the Dolphins run the ball really, really well, and then they continue to throw really well, and the defense plays great, they're going to win a lot of games.
But I didn't say all that. I didn't say to throw the ball.
Isn't that kind of obvious? And again, for me, I'm going to go back. And again, yes, it's the team that was on the schedule. But doing it in the fourth quarter of a 23-point lead against Washington, it does not stamp, okay, they got the running game going right now. I mean.
But, bro, if I got to run, okay, let me ask you this question, okay? The Dolphins need to work on their run game and their power run game and their short yard conversion run game and their physical run game. When do you think they can do that outside of when they're blowing out teams?
Omar, but my point, I am not taking away from anything they did, other than to say it does not it does not suggest that they now have that in their arsenal. They can count on that happening in a game where it's going to matter. Whereas we've
And
seen
now
it
you're
from
poking the
other teams.
bear. They have it in their arsenal. They need to feel confident that they can rely on it, and they're gaining that confidence by doing it when they're blowing out teams, which they've done a number of times, and they've relied on it. This ain't the first, second, third, or fourth time we've seen them 4-minute offense to choke out a team. They've done it all season. They did it against Denver.
They won 50. They need to, again, big whoop. They ran the ball great in a 50-point blowout win. That's not. They need to do it. It's going to need to get done. If you get your quote unquote elimination games or the playoffs, that's when you need to get it done. And it's not doing it against a team that's quit. That is proof that they're going to get it done.
But when am I going to be able to work on it if I'm not doing it against a team that's quit?
You need to do it in a game. This is where I keep bringing up. I think it was New England. I have to look back again where New England on at the end of the game, they got a couple of first downs on the run before Tua threw that touchdown pass to Waddle to make it a 31-17 final, but they were only up by 7. They got like 2 or 3 first downs on the ground. That's a game that would give you confidence that they can do it. Not Washington and the Jets the past 2 weeks. And again, I'm a guy who thinks the Dolphins have massive possibilities.
They can do it. That I formation, man, that thing was beautiful last week. Like, lean on it. Do it. Put Alec Ingold in that game. You know I love Alec Ingold and
I do too. And I'm cool with you saying it, but don't tell me they can do it because you look what they did against Washington and the Jets.
No, they can do it because they can do it. They just need to have confidence. They just need to put it on film. And so Alec Ingold and the crew and Jeff Wilson can go, look at this. Look at this. Like, let's stop being this finesse team. We could play with power.
And then there'll come a time when they'll need to. Absolutely. There will come a time down the stretch they'll need to close out a game with their running game in the 4-minute offense.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you got to do it by beating up on teams like the Commanders.
They're not playing the Commanders in the playoffs, unfortunately.
Oh man.
Anything else we need to wrap up before we say goodbye for another day?
No.
We have a completely adjusted schedule this week because everything's pushed back. So tomorrow, Friday, is an actual quote unquote Thursday where it's coordinator day, where I always look forward to hearing Vic Fangio. That might be the highlight of my media schedule week. I love hearing Vic Fangio. Omar, any final thoughts?
No. No.
And by the way, yes, it's probably because he's an old curmudgeon like me. There you go.
I was thinking that, but I
that's why you were snickering the whole time I was saying it. Yes. I can relate. I see Vic and I are like this.
Yeah. We've now talked to each other for like 54 straight days. So yes, you can read my mind. All right, folks, you know how to find us, alldolphins.com. We will be back tomorrow. We got Behind Enemy Lines. We got an Austin Jackson contract extension episode up. That's episode 153. We appreciate all those who listen on the audio platforms. We appreciate all those who subscribe. That's important. We appreciate everybody who rates us. 5 stars would be nice. And those who just show up and watch for 5 minutes, we appreciate you too, because you know what, brother, you let those ad play, and that's how we get paid. So
and one of these for everybody who gives us 5 stars.
And we appreciate everybody who comments, and Poop reads them more than I read them. I will do a better job. I'm just not at that point where I want to read everything. You know where I am. I'm on the Twitter streets, and Poopard complains about that all the time. All right, folks, we will see you tomorrow. Oh, damn. No, get your hat tip in, please. I don't want to hear you complain about it. Bye.